Dr. Samir Kapur is the part of senior management team at Adfactors PR. He works in the capacity of a director and heads the New Delhi branch. Armed with more than 2 decades of experience in corporate communications, investor relations, and strategic planning, Dr. Kapoor plays a significant role in the firm's continuing success and growth. Prior to Adfax PR, Samir served as the corporate communications at Fullerton India and ESPN Star Sports India. Now, his strengths are multidimensional, from strategizing communication across verticals, external and internal communications, media relations, and many more. Over the years, Samir sir has served clients such as Vodafone, MTS, Tata Group, Infosys, Singapore Airlines, and the list goes on. Today, he is here to give us a talk about PR, and I hope we have a lot to learn from you, sir. So, handing over the session to you.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I have a old association with MET. I was physically coming here in the year 2007 and 8. I think that was your second second or third batch. And of course, Aditi ma'am had been very, very kind in making sure that a Delhiite gets the vada paos and the cutting, of Mumbai. So every time I used to visit, and I was absolutely impressed by the infrastructure of the college. I haven't seen such a big institution in Bombay in my life. Of course, I've gone uh, to teach at various colleges, including IIMs, ISB. Their campuses are huge, but they are off the location. And now here is a college right in the middle of the commercial hub of the country, and I was just surprised to see the college. So happy to be back again. The intent of my discussion today is on public relation, and of course, many of you have read various things about PR. But today, I have a different thought on how digital is changing PR and what has happened during this COVID time. So I'll give you an example, and all of us, so-called comms professional, and I have multiple heady mix of multiple comms role. I've been head of advertising in Ogilvy. I was head of the direct marketing activities that we took in something called Ogilvy One. Uh, of course, I've managed a sports company called ESPN Star Sports, and of course now there are two parts. Star is a separate company, Star right, and Star Sports is a separate company. ESPN is a separate company. ESPN has gone to Set, as in it's part of now the Sony group, and Sony and Z have merged. So there is a huge amount of mixing and matching and cocktails that are getting built up there. When we were discussing about digital, or we thought about digital, we said, yeah, it will take some time. India में digital थोड़ा time लगेगा. अभी दूर है digital. So you youngsters like you have, of course, gone on to digital in a big way. But dinosaurs like me will take some time to move towards digital. And it is by 27, 28. Yes, digital will have a decent mix, because till 2019, 2020, digital was around 8 to 10% of the total marketing mix. And then, of course, someone in Wuhan decided to finger bats, and they said, okay, let me just do something. Now, that's what the alleged role of virus is, that it has come from bats, right? So that virus decided to disrupt the entire market for us, and that disrupted the comms industry. And if you recall the first lockdown, there are multiple lockdowns. Maharashtra has different lockdowns. Delhi has multiple lockdowns. The first lockdown that happened, which was a national lockdown, for first 60 days there was no print media, right? Everything was on digital. And the second part that accelerated this entire concept was this entire advent of you guys, moving away from advertising. One of the reason is just look at the numbers, and I'll give you a number. Netflix took 7 years for a 50 million downloads of the app. Disney Hotstar took 7 months to do the similar number of downloads during COVID. Right? I'm just giving you a like-to-like comparison. And of course, you guys have made sure that the OTT platforms are up through the roof, whether it is Netflix, whether it is Disney Hotstar. In fact, so much is the power that the queen of soap operas, Ekta Kapoor, decided to open up a OTT platform called Alt Balaji. Thank you, boss. मैं इनको, क्योंकि आप लोग नागिन देख नहीं रहे हैं, उनको पता नहीं कौन से सीजन पे चलेगी नागिन, के सीजन 6, सीजन 7, and the youngsters are not watching Nagin, and therefore she's having problem. But you are watching GOTs. Yeah, you are okay when a dragon flies in a Game of Thrones, but you are not okay when the same Samp comes into Nagin, right? Because of course the VX and others are different. Hey, you are okay when Thanos can do something like this and the world goes off, but you're not okay when Shaktiman does something similar in India, specifically on television. Point I'm trying to make is that the generations are shifting, right? And the Sas Bahu saga is almost on the verge of getting closure, right? Because of course it is gone. Your parents must be watching it. There's a show called Anupama. I don't know what time it comes now, but it is the number one show from a TRP perspective. I just know the TRPs, and therefore, if someone asks me कि उसमें होता क्या, please don't ask me that because I just know numbers. I don't know anything else, right? So क्या है series मेरे को ये भी नहीं पता, but I just know Anupama is not the number one series as of now. So what happened during COVID was that entire acceleration towards digital happened in a much faster way, even in a country like India. This coupled by the fact that the penetration of smartphones has gone to an all-time high, right? And thanks to Chinese players, which include Xiaomi, which includes Oppo, Techno. Now a smartphone is available for as low as 5,000 bucks. Well, it was multiple things, a battery for 24 hours and all that. Of course, that's another part of marketing and something that we will understand. You have a phone by Techno, which is at 10 grand, and you have a phone by Apple, which is at 1.5 lakhs, right? And that's the space in which people are operating. But a lot of people, maybe your grandparents, are still comfortable using what we call it as a feature phone because they are actually using phone for that purpose only, which is calling. But for most of you, so Asim, for example, I can see, or Rishi, I can see both of you. Asim probably has logged in from, Asim has logged in from laptop, but Rishi has definitely logged in from his phone, right? Because the window becomes much smarter. Similarly, Ravina has logged in from her phone. Now, the fact that you have an app, an iPhone that you can log on a Google Meet, right? Tomorrow, Abhi, if a call comes in, you'll have an issue because suddenly you'll be put on hold automatically by the phone, right? If not on Google Meet, but definitely on MS Team, you will get that kind of thing. Point I'm trying to make is that this entire transformation and the fact that I'm doing a virtual meeting with all of you rather than coming to Bombay and giving you a physical meeting is what the changes in the entire way the consumer has evolved over a period of time. You've heard of a large company called Facebook, now called Meta. You guys have, kind of, it has become oldie for you, because someone like Samir Kapur is on Facebook, therefore we say, "Yaar, kaun jai Facebook." So you guys have started going to Insta, right? And your younger generation has started going to Snapdeal. I'm sure some of you are on Snapdeal, but kids who are in class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th are Snapdealish kids rather than Insta kids, right? In the sense they don't want to go on Insta. Insta is for elderly people. Snapdeal is for cool guys. There was a brand called TikTok which got banned because of the geopolitical reasons. Uh, Now that became a brand that YouTube and Facebook was shit scared of because TikTok got downloads that Insta took 7 years. TikTok got it in 3 months, right? And in India, the bottom of the pyramid, people who are not very savvy, you guys are a savvy generation. You can type, you can search on Google, right? You can use English as a language of communication. But the next billion that are going to enter into the space, into that area, are not going to get it. They're not going to type the way you guys can type, right? But they're very comfortable with voice. They're very comfortable with this, and you've already seen it. You've seen Uber driver, cab drivers, rickshaw drivers, auto guys using Google Map and voice-enabled Google Map. You tell them to reach somewhere because those guys are not as savvy as they were at one point of time, knowing where Mumbai's roads can take them. So they put where do you want to go, Ghatkopar, Virar, wherever, right? And when you put that name, the guys are not going to type it. They're just going to use the sound or voice. And there are three players that have already taken a huge space, a huge market leadership in this. One, of course, is Google. The second is Alexa from Amazon. and the third is Siri by Apple. Right? So these big tech guys have already taken that space. They know when the next generation come, they're going to come on a voice-enabled platform, not on a typed-enabled platform. And TikTok realized that. So TikTok was very simple. You have to do one boomerang kind of a thing. Just nod your head, do this, do that, and then you can put any song that you want, any song, Hindi. And usually you'll see old Hindi song being put in by a lot of players who are using TikTok. The problem with TikTok was that TikTok leaves what is called a watermark, which means if you are forwarding it even on WhatsApp, it will say TikTok. Because that's what the watermark does, right? And was a is a very powerful tool. Now, why am I saying this? Because the PR professionals of today's time need to understand who are these stars. Akusha Kapila is a far better star than, sorry for using that name, let's say Abhishek Bachchan, right? Her reach is phenomenal on YouTube, on Insta. Now, can a brand ignore Kusha Kapila, right? Or maybe, I don't know if you guys are into tech, but there is a gentleman called Technical Guruji, right? He's got 18 million followers. Carrie Minati, millions of followers on YouTube. Harsh Beriwal. Now, are these influencers? Absolutely, they are influencers. They can make or break a brand, and that's what PR is all about, right? It's about either creating an image or protecting your reputation. That's the only thing that a PR does, right? Now, my presentation today that I'm going to have a chat with all of you is on what's happening in the world. Why is it that you guys, people like you, are changing the way? So, what Arnab Goswami says, the Lutyens media, how Lutyens media is now finding it difficult that a, uh YouTube channel like a Lallan Top has more followers than the parent company Ashtak on YouTube. What is it that they're doing which is different? Right? And what does it mean for new age professionals? See, ultimately, PR still is the most important tool that will be needed, and I'll tell you why. Well, just don't take my word because I'm into PR. Of course, I will do my selling as well, but just don't take my words for it. You need to understand what is happening. And the other part, what is happening is that if you know, Facebook has changed its name to Meta, and there is a new concept that is coming called Metaverse, right? Which is another universe, which is a universe of yours on screen. And you are seeing many of us are spending, in fact, your generation is spending more time on screen rather than spending time, outside. So you go to a restaurant, or when I go to weddings of my, younger members, my ex students, etc., I see an Insta place where you can go and click your Insta photo, and there's a hashtag. Usually, there's a bride and a groom hashtag. It's like a DDLJ kind of thing. Simran Raj. I'm just giving an example. It can be anything, right? And उसके first or two names से कुछ बनाया जाता है, and उसको फिर hashtag करके Insta पे trend करा जाता है. वो पीछे फूल वूल बने होते हैं, all that. Not only that, not only weddings, it is also a similar kind of input that you see for brands on when you're eating food, right? So let's say Harshita goes to Bombay Canteen and she's just ordering a vada pav, which is the staple diet of Mumbaikars. But उसके लिए भी उसको फोटो चाहिए, ऐसा ऊपर करके वो फोटो खींचेगी, having vada pav at Bombay Canteen. Right now, why is it being done? Because you are living your life on metaverse. Right? Staycations is something that you are seeing many of your elderly people are doing it. Someone who's 5 years elder to you, he or she will say, मैं आज माथेरान में बैठा हूँ, आज मैं लोखंडवाला में बैठा हूँ, आज मैं लोखंडवाला, sorry, is not a staycation, आज मैं गोवा में बैठा हूँ, right? And will say, oh, lovely vibes, lovely this, look at the samandar, look at this, look at that. पता चले वो इसके पास बीच है ना, बॉम्बे के पास ही बीच जो गोवा जैसा लगता है, छोटा सा, right? वो वहाँ गया हूँ मैं. But point I'm trying to make is people would like to live their life on the other verse, which is called the metaverse. And you are seeing people, changing their someone who looks brilliant on Insta, when you generally see him, अरे भाई ये तो मतलब मेरे जैसे गंजा हूँ मैं, मेरे एकदम अच्छे अच्छे बाल आ जाएंगे लॉन्ग, जैसे जश के बाल हैं, मैं ऐसा स्मार्ट सा लगूंगा, राइट, मेरी दाढ़ी विराट टाइप आ सकती है. It's possible on Insta, but it's not possible in real life. So people are spending more time on metaverse than on their own universe. And you will soon see, so H&M is a brand that has launched itself on metaverse. Right? So you can go and shop on H&M on the metaverse. There's a brand called Dolce Gabbana, right? It's a well-known brand, known for its launches in fashion. And instead of launching it on runway in Milan, in Paris, uh, or in New York, they launched themselves on Fortnite. Fortnite is a platform for gaming by Epic Games, right? And Dolce Gabbana on 10th of October 2021, just 3 months back, 4 months back, spent 3 million US dollars to launch its new wear on Fortnite, on Epic Games. Why? Because the skins that 16 million users use, they can buy that skin. That's the level of metaverse. Right? So what is happening? मतलब ये हो क्या रहा है? ये एक तरफ आप बोल रहे हैं फिजिकल, एक तरफ हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी हैं, वो अभी भी मन की बात कर रहे हैं, वो ऑल इंडिया रेडियो यूज करते हैं मन की बात करने के लिए. सो दैट्स वन एंड ऑफ द स्पेक्ट्रम, व्हिच इज लाइक 1919 or whatever 1922, where AIR was being used. And then we are talking about brands which are launching themselves. So there is a couple in Kerala that is getting married on metaverse, right, and is spending money on getting married on metaverse. Crypto, I'm sure some of you have started investing, is a big thing. It is about decentralization of finance, called DeFi, right? Decentralization of finance. You don't want one company, one country, one person to control everything, and hence the blockchain. Right? And just look at people on the other side. Oh, we will also launch digital currency. Was the fundamental of digital was decentralization. When RBI launches digital currency called CBDC, it is antithesis to what crypto was being formed for. Right? But वो होता है ना कि अरे, so Mansi is afraid, Mansi is looking beautiful on this, I will also look beautiful, and therefore मैं भी ऐसे बाल ऐसे करूँगा. Right? No, वो होता नहीं है. But my point is, you need to understand as a PR professional, what is it that you are, you are looking for, and that brings us to why this change. What's happening here? Can you guys see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yeah.
We can.
So that's called the new age of PR. It's called PR version 2. So what is happening is we are now living in a world called web version 2. So web version was more like मन की बात, है ना, मैंने बोल दिया, अब अपने आप देख लो, जैसे लेक्चर, मेरा लेक्चर है, मैं बोल के चला गया, अब अपने आप जश सुनेगा या रिया सुनेगी क्या बोलना चाहती है, right? But if I don't interrupt them, or if they don't ask me a question, I'm not too sure whether they've grasped the knowledge or not. And that's what web version 2 does. Web version 2 is, we are in fact now moving to web version 3. It has become participatory, right? It has become more participatory in nature. So the first web was by publishers pushing the thing to audience. Today, it is audience giving it back. Citizen journalism is on the rise, right? CJ is on the rise, and everyone asks. You can figure out at 6 by looking at Twitter that which side Arnab Goswami is going to yell, right, at 9. Sorry, not yell, talk. Sorry, my apologies, not yell, talk. Right. So, and for Arnab fans, in case I've hurt you, my apologies for that again. Now, from publisher, it goes to audience, and the audience can now talk back to publishers. It's happening with brands as well. Earlier, brand was just making an ad. Today, brands are taken to cleaners on Twitter. Just look at Fair and Lovely or the Fem new ad, Fem Bleach. They're taken to cleaners on Twitter. Consumers, rightly, wrongly, that's a separate issue altogether. The point is, consumers are now getting a voice. That's the fundamental voice. What is it that PR can do, right? And therefore, when I was your age, it was all about remote. We had multiple channels. Ads used to come in. We used to switch channels. When my mom was alive, she used to cook only, when the ad used to come in. तो हम खाना खा रहे हैं, मम्मी खाना दे दो, नहीं मैं पहले वो सीरियल देखूंगी, राइट। वो सीरियल के बीच में जब ब्रेक आती थी तब जाके वो खाना आता। फिर जब रिकॉर्डिंग टाटा स्काई ने रिकॉर्डिंग शुरू करी तो आई गॉट साई ऑफ रिलीफ। टुडे इफ शी वुड हैव बीन अलाइव, वो सुबह 6 बजे आस्था चैनल की बजाय मेरे घर पे वो चल रहा होता, सास भी कभी बोलती। 6 बजे डिज्नी हॉटस्टार दिखा देता, व्हेन डिज्नी हॉटस्टार pushes that you want to watch a program, watch it live or watch it before it is broadcasted on television. Why is it happening? Because it is becoming what we call it as a participatory web. You don't like anything, you'll shift to another one. Google uh, takes pride in the fact that I have given you search anything, you search Samir Kapur on Google, you'll say, oh, so many pages in 0.009 seconds searched. Google takes pride in all of that. अरे देखा, मेरे से अच्छा algo कोई नहीं बना सकता, नहीं, right? It's like Delhi boys they see good looking girls, तो वो suddenly अपनी bike की speed बढ़ा देते हैं. I don't know why. जबकि कम करनी चाहिए. If you want the person to look at you, बॉस इतनी तेज स्पीड पे तो कोई देख भी नहीं पाएगा ना आपको, बट पता नहीं क्यों 100 की स्पीड पे चलते हैं, जबकि उस टाइम पे 3 की स्पीड पे चलना चाहिए, right? So this is one of the most powerful magazine, as you're aware, a magazine called Time, right? And they come out with something called Person of the Year. This time it's Elon Musk, right? A gentleman who's a maverick with his Tesla, with his space program, SpaceX, etc. He's actually taken the limelight. But Time came out with Person of the Year, and it made a computer and said, you. Just read what it says. It says, yes, you control the information age. Welcome to your world. Or Nike can do whatever they want to. They can be with Michael Jordan, they can be with Nike Air, they can be with anyone. But if it is not adding value to Mansi, Asim, Rishi, Josh, Samir Kapur, it really doesn't matter. I will use a brand on my social platforms. It is if it is adding value to me, not because I've liked it. You will share an ad if you feel connected with that ad on your platform. On your social handles, you are the media. Right? On your social handles, you are the media. It is you decide whether you want to put a Nike, you want to put an Adidas, you want to put a Sketcher, you want to put whosoever. And that is the most important and fundamental change that has happened in the way we do public relations. Media was at the center of everything. Don't get me wrong. If you're teaching, if you're being taught media is important, it is still important. But now other stakeholders are becoming equally important. So a new brand, alcohol brand, Alcobev, I don't know if you guys have started reading. My request is please start reading newspapers. There are free apps, right? अंबानी जी ने डेटा बहुत फ्री कर दिया, ऑलमोस्ट मुफ्त में है डेटा. हमारे टाइम पे डेटा बड़ा महंगा होता था, अभी मुफ्त में है डेटा. ईटी है, मिंट है, बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड है, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया है, मिड डे है. यू कैन रीड वॉट एवर यू वांट, बट प्लीज रीड ऑन ब्रांड्स. डोंट रीड कि अरे यहाँ कत्ल हो गया, यहाँ ये भाग गए, हिजाब का इशू क्या है. डोंट रीड दैट यू विल नेवर फाइंड एन आंसर. I wrote a book on that, right? It's called When India Votes. I could never find an answer as a marketing professional, PR professional. वो बुक बेस्ट सेलर बन गई, वो अलग है, right? क्योंकि उसमें मोदी जी के बारे में, उनकी मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटजीज को डिस्कस किया गया था कि भैया मोदी जी ने क्या किया. So when you look at this, the fact that this can be live streamed. So for example, I'm on Google. It will take a plugin a minute to put this on YouTube. Just a minute, right? All this lecture can be put on YouTube. That means I have tools that an arm admi like Samir Kapur, which doesn't have a huge setup, I'm working from my office, it's a small setup, I can also go and have an access to larger audience. YouTubers are that only, right? YouTubers, of course, now today have a better camera, better microphones, better stuff, but they started off from someone who was fresh. And that is the power that these guys are having. That is exactly the power that these guys are having. And that is something that we should be concerned about. as PR professionals, right? Because if I go back to the czar of modern media, a gentleman called Rupert Murdoch, he owns Star, he owns CNN, he owns CNBC. You can understand how powerful he is, right? He's saying that if I have to find something comparable, I have to go back to 500 years to the era of printing press. Now, what did printing press do? Printing press, made sure that the mass media was born. I can publish a book at fraction of a cost. When you guys are studying, you were studying in college, you can take all the pages of the books, get it print out, get it photocopied at what, 50 paisa or a rupee, right? And the book, which is worth 20,000 bucks, 2,000 bucks, is available to you, relevant pages for 200 bucks. That's what a mass media can do. That's what a printing press can do. Technology is in the similar way shifting the power away from the editors, from the publishers, from the establishment, and again, using Arnab's word, the Lutein media. So it's no longer NDTV telling you what to think. When I was your age, there was a series or a program called The World This Week, TWTW. It used to come on a Friday. A brilliant program. Pranay Roy used to anchor it. And he became one of the most powerful anchors of his time at that time. Today, look at NDTV. It's nowhere. TRP wise, it's struggling. Right? And it's the people who are taking control. And what has web done is, web has put a media revolution in our hand. That's what web is doing. Right? So now, ठीक है, ये ऋषि एंड असिमित से ठीक है यार, ये तो इतनी बार बकवास करते रहते हैं. What is in it for me? मेरे लिए क्या? What's in it for me? Right? Ultimately, I am a generation वो बता रही ये सब ठीक है. Show me the money. So what should PR guys do? What's in it for PR? So there are 7 implications for PR, right? 7 is my lucky number. That's why मैं 7. अगर 8 होता तो मैं 8 कर देता. But मेरा date of birth 7 है, इसलिए मैंने 7 रखा. ऐसे मजाक कर रहा हूँ यार, ऐसे serious मत हो जाना. So what's in it for PR? Now, for PR is one thing. The fundamentals remain the same. What you say on online is advertising. What others say about you is PR. So assuming Rishi wants to woo a girl, okay, Rishi, I'm just taking you as an example. Now Rishi goes and say, boss, be my girlfriend, I'm rich. That's advertising. If Asim goes on behalf of Rishi and says to that girl, Rishi is very rich and he drives a very beautiful car, why don't you be his girlfriend? Now that's public relation. The third person talking about word of mouth. And you will see this. I'll give you examples. अभी आपको मैंने ये जोक मारा है तो आपको ऐसा लग रहा होगा यार ये क्या बकवास है, क्या फालतू से जोक बनाता है. Right now, PR matters more than ever because what others say about you is more important than what you say about yourself. I'm sure you guys are using Swiggy and Zomato, right? You're using Uber and Ola. In fact, any app that you're using is asking you to rate them. Zomato guy will say, sir, मेरे को स्टार दे दीजिएगा. Uber taxi वाला will say, sir, मेरे को rank दे दीजिएगा, स्टार दे दीजिएगा. And I was just wondering, and I'll tell you what happened when this happened, because we just bought a car. My brother just bought a car, and when my father was alive, he used to tell me, "Ki, yaar, tip them well." So I gave Gandhi ji 500 rupees to this guy. Ki, bhaiya, just take it. The guy said, "Sir, पैसा नहीं चाहिए. आप मेरे को Google पे मेरे बारे में अच्छा लिख देना." The guy who's selling me a car is asking me to rate him on Google. Right? Brilliant. Now that got me thinking, कि boss ये क्यों कर रहे हैं ऐसा? So we are in an economy where you need friends, Facebook's likes, and communities. You want to be part of everything. तो अगर ऋषि को पता चला कि MET में क्रिकेट की कम्युनिटी है जिसमें आसिम खेलता है and Rishi also likes cricket, he'll feel left out. That's called the word that you guys have called FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh shit, ये क्या हो गया? I missed out. मेरे को पता नहीं था एक क्लब है यहाँ. Right? And that's why when you go for a travel, you figure out 10 things to do when I go to Goa. And you want to check out everything. You make your own vlog, a video, an Insta post. Right? So I'm going to Maldives this weekend. मेरी बीवी ने ऑलरेडी सारी चीजें 10 चीजें रख रखी हैं कि क्या करना है. स्नॉर्कलिंग से लेके स्कूबा डाइविंग से लेके सब है। एंड मैं सब पे उनके इंस्टा पे अब फोटो में साथ में ऐसे बंदर की तरह खड़ा रहूंगा, शी इज वेरी गुड लुकिंग, तो मैं ही ऐसा पागल लगूंगा उनके सामने उनके इंस्टा पे, राइट। एंड आई हैव सीन विद हर, शी नीड्स टू लुक गुड, आई कैन लुक वट एवर, बट शी नीड्स टू लुक गुड ऑन इंस्टा. Ultimately it's about what others talk about you, and that's why you will see a lot of brands saying, would you recommend us, right? And this is what generally happens, that how likely would you recommend us? That is any brand, PNG, Nike, Apple, use anything. You go to Netflix will say, you're liking Netflix, please rate us on Google Play Store or on iOS, wherever you are. Right? Now, why are they doing it? Everyone is doing it. Nike कर रहा है, Starbucks कर रहा है, Nokia कर रहा है, Nokia तो खैर बेचारा यूज ही नहीं होता, right? Amex कर रहा है, others are doing it. Sorry for those who are using Nokia, but just by a show of hand, anyone who's using Nokia in this group of 25 people here, no, मेरे को पता था, that's what my hypothesis is. And see, it was a market leader at one point in time, 86% market share, 86% market share to not even 6%. What happened? The disruption done by a brand called Apple. Right? They positioned themselves as a strategic brand. So let's say, Annette, a question to you. Let's say Apple is coming out with a new product called iPhone 17, hypothetically. Tell me what will be the cost of that phone? Hypothetically, what you think will be the cost of that phone in India?
So it'll probably cross 2
It
lakhs.
will probably cross 2 lakhs. And nobody is blinking. Everyone says, हाँ हाँ यार, दो तो होगा. Right? Let's say if I say Oppo is launching a new brand called F28. They have series called Fs and others. F28. What will be the cost of Oppo in your mind?
I'll be a little cheaper, as in caps 1 lakh probably.
अरे Oppo 1 lakh में कौन खरीदता है यार?
मतलब वो कैप्स है 1 लाख,
हाँ,
उससे भी
caps
कम
है.
है.
हाँ, Shreyas is saying 60. Right? OnePlus होगा तो OnePlus 70-75 के अंदर लॉन्च कर. My point is, you already in your mind made up what a brand is going to be priced at, and you're not blinking an eye. Suddenly I say Oppo is at 2.5 lakhs. You'll say, अरे ऐसा क्या, डायमंड डाल दिया क्या? Right? सोना डल गया उसके अंदर. And if I say, oh, Apple is at 50,000, oh, they would have fleeced something. Now that's what the branding does to you, and that's the power of that. Right? There is a brand called Adidas. I'm sure you are aware. And in that brand, there is another sub brand of Adidas called Yeezys. Now, the brand starts at 25K. 25,000 rupees for a pair of shoe, which you don't have choice of your color. You have to first book it online, pay the money, then go to the nearest store, and the guy will say, boss, it's मेरे को जब मैंने ये ऐसा सुना तो मेरे को अपना स्कूटर वाले दिन याद आ गए. मतलब मेरे को बजाज बुक कराया था मैंने, और मेरे को 2.5 साल वेट करना पड़ा, और उसके बाद पीले कलर का स्कूटर मिला मेरे को, येलो कलर. But today you can go to a shop and you say, boss, I want multicolor scooter. They will give you multicolor scooter, of course, if you have money. Right? मैं उसको ऐसा चांदनी चौक टाइप बनाना चाहता हूँ. You do whatever you want. But why are brands telling you to rate them or recommend them? Is because there is a science behind the marketing science or the sales science behind it. What is it? It is, there is a company called Bain and Company which did a research. It says a 12% increase in net promoter score. Just a 12% increase means your sales are going to double. Right? There was many years back, there was a company called, a movie called Om Shanti Om. I was in Bombay at that time. I was staying in Bombay. I read it in Bombay Times, and they'd given 5/5 rating. 5/5. Right? Oh, मैंने कहा यार बहुत ही अच्छी पिक्चर होगी, शाहरुख है, शाहरुख is someone I like. I went and saw that movie, और मेरे सर में दर्द हो गया उस पिक्चर को देख के. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's like भाई साहब, cocktail of 60s and 70s and multiple things. So barring that, दो चुटकी सिंदूर और वो पूरी कायनात आपको मिलाने की कोशिश करती है, वो सेंटेंसेस के अलावा और कुछ नहीं था उस मूवी में. उस दिन से मेरे को समझ में आ गया कि मैं बॉम्बे टाइम्स के तो कोई बात नहीं मानने वाला. राइट? उसने मतलब जो 5 on 5 स्टार दे सकता है ओम शांति ओम को, राइट? तो भाई साहब, मैं मेरा तो जिसे कहते हैं ना, दिमाग ठनक गया, दिमाग का दही हो गया, दैट्स अ बॉम्बे लैंग्वेज, राइट? तो दिमाग का दही मत कर. सो then I realized that all these so-called influential media are no longer, people are considering them. I will consider an Annette or Mansi or Shreyas what they've written on their Facebook. So if Shreyas says, "Hey, don't watch the Gehraiyaan, it's a very glorified porn," hypothetically, right? I'll say, "Ah, yeah, Shreyas कह रहा है तो नहीं देख." But if you look at Times of India, oh, Deepika has acted brilliantly. It's one of the best acting of hers, so on and so forth. Now, the reason I'm telling you this kind of thing, we tend to trust people like us, people who are our friends, and therefore we need their approvals as well. And that is why the rise of influencers is huge. Because we see Kusha Kapila as person like us, right? We see Kapil Sharma as one of us. That's the rise of them, right? And therefore you will see the engagement on their Insta handles far superior than, let's say, an engagement on Amitabh Bachchan's handle. Amitabh Bachchan might have millions of followers, but the engagement ratio will not be there. But if I'm good friend of Ria and I are good friends, Ria can speak anything on my Insta handle and vice versa, and I will reply back because she matters to me, and vice versa, right? But some random guy, let's say your Deepika Padukone, someone has written a comment. You think Deepika will have time to look at what comment has been written? The engagement absolutely will be close to zero. So now this one is an important one. This is an old one, and there's a powerful story on what a blogger can do. The saga is called the Kryptonite saga. Right now, what happened was there was this gentleman called Ronald Burns, who was a blogger. You can Google him. Many years, I was your age when this thing happened, and there was power of internet at that time. So Kryptonite was a lock company. It's like Godrej के ताले, right? Godrej के ताले होते हैं ना, Godrej की safe हर एक के घर में है. तो same वैसा lock company saying this is the most powerful lock ever made in the American region for cycles. And people are there, unlike Indians, कि हर चीज के लिए गाड़ी चाहिए. वो वहाँ बेचारे वो साइकिल पे चलते हैं. कार्बन एमिशन, क्लाइमेट चेंज, मल्टीपल थिंग्स. हमारे यहाँ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आई एम इन अ प्लेस कॉल्ड दिल्ली, जहाँ एक ही वाई जब तक 1000 नहीं होता हम लोग टेंशन में नहीं आते. हम लेजेंड है, लेजेंड. मतलब जब तक 16-18 हम सिगरेट्स ना पी लें हमें फर्क नहीं पड़ता, राइट? इसलिए जब हम इंडिया से बाहर जाते हैं हमारे लंग्स हमारे साथ नहीं देते. भाई ये कहाँ ले आया, मतलब ऐसी तो इतनी साफ एयर तो मैंने कभी जिंदगी में नहीं देखी, राइट? दैट्स राइट. सो व्हेन यू लुक एट दिस एज अ ब्रांड Kryptonite said कि बॉस ये ताला जो है ये बेस्ट ताला है. The lock is best, right? Now this gentleman, Ronald Burns, he opened this lock with a pen. चलो खोल लिया, ठीक है भाई, टैलेंटेड आदमी है, खोल लेता है. अब इस भाई साहब ने खोल के वीडियो भी बना दिया उसका कि भैया ऐसे खोलो पेन से, राइट? तो आप सोच सकते हैं क्या हुआ होगा जब ये पेन से खुला. तो people who lost their cycles, and as you are aware, US is a very very litigative society. मतलब जोर से भी बोल दो तो आपके ऊपर केस हो जाता है, राइट? आपने पान के अंदर थोड़ा सा कत्था ज्यादा मिला दिया तो आप पे केस कर देते हैं. मतलब इतने खतरनाक सोसाइटी, हर चीज पर. आपके कुत्ते ने भौंक दिया उसके ऊपर तो वो केस कर देते हैं. तो वो उनको मजा आता है ऐसे केस करने. इंडिया में करके देखो 40 साल जाना पड़ेगा आपको कोर्ट, राइट? सो that company, because of one influencer, simple video, and not a very powerful influencer, there were only 7 or 8 videos views, 7 or 8, which is nothing, right? श्रेयस के वीडियोस को 500 लोग 1 मिनट में देख लेते होंगे. 500 तो दोस्त हैं उसके. श्रेयस कितने फॉलोअर्स हैं आपके इंस्टा पे? नहीं है ज्यादा? अच्छा,
300 के आसपास.
आवाज देगा 300. दैट्स द पावर. 300 लोग तो ऐसे देख लेते हैं. 7 लोगों ने देखा सर. बट द प्रॉब्लम वाज दैट द पीपल हु सॉ started commenting. And Wall Street Journal, which was a very powerful paper, picked it up. New York Times picked it up. So something that started off from a smaller area became larger than life. Right? That's the power of video. So there's a small kid called Sonu. He created a, a song, बचपन का प्यार, right? Bacha saw that song. Bacha said, "अरे यार, इसमें तो बहुत अच्छा rap हो सकता है." And that song had 700 million views on YouTube. Right? Similarly, there's a girl in Sri Lanka. She said, "मैं एक rehash गाना गाऊं." मानी के माँ के हित थे, राइट? अब किसी को नहीं पता इंडिया में, और नॉर्थ इंडिया में तो किसी को नहीं पता मतलब क्या है, ठीक है, गा रहे हैं, गाए जा रहे हैं, और उसके हर लैंग्वेज में 30 लैंग्वेजेस में उसके रिप ऑफ्स बन गए, पंजाबी में अलग, मराठी में अलग, तेलुगु में अलग, राइट? एंड दैट सॉन्ग, there's a air hostess of Indigo, she did a what we call it a hook move on that song. सिंपल, वो खाली हवाई जहाज था, उसने कहा चलो डांस कर लेते, उसके डांस पे 100 मिलियन व्यूज आ गए. It became a all-time hit in just one. So that's what a video of viral can.
Even the
And
Kacha Badam song.
even the Kacha Badam, correct. Kacha Badam to is like brilliant. Now, one small, and forget this, this is of course in the US. Even in India, a large brand like Maggi decided not to say anything to a small town news which says the the ingredients of Maggi noodle have more lead and more MSG. MSG is monosodium glutamate. I'm not talking about messenger of God. Baba Ram Rahim मत सोचना. मैं MSG की बात कर रहा हूँ, दूसरा जो केमिकल डलता है, right? So, and Nestle, Maggi, 89% market share is said, अरे हमारा कौन क्या बिगाड़ लेगा? And Baba Ramdev actually took them to cleaners by launching atta noodles, right? And telling rest of the world that my atta noodles are better than Maggi. 11 states banned Maggi. Maggi को 8 दिन लगे संभलने में, अरे ये क्या हो गया? So what I'm trying to say is that a brand can be, now this is what the Kryptonite blog strong is. There's a huge conversation that happened on blog at that time. This was 2007 when internet was still in web version 1. There was no Twitter at that time. Imagine Twitter होता तो खत्म कर चुका होता इस time brand. So from a PR perspective, it is important to have these guys in our contact list. जैसे media important है, वैसे ही influencers PR के लिए important है, right? Because it's very important to have these on your side, these people on your side. Therefore, how Wikipedia works, how Twitter works, how blogging works is very important for PR professionals to understand. And third is, even if you don't like maths, you still need to befriend Google, which means knowing how SEO, search engine, optimizes its search is the most important. Right? Many years back, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the promoters or founders of Google, they've done their PhD, their thesis on something called page ranking. How can web rank a page? And that's where the advent of search engine optimization came. See, you can't beat Google. ऐसा नहीं है कि अरे Ria or Shreyas or Josh can beat Google. Google से better algo बनाएंगे. Nobody can beat Google. Google has multiple engineers that is doing it every day. They change their algo after every 4 hours. But the fundamental remains the same, which is organic. So the organic is only delivered by public relations, cannot be delivered by advertising. Right? And this is the new reality. Tom Foremsky of Financial Times wrote in his blog in 2006, that's high time that the ubiquitous press release of public relations should die. And this is what he said, that if you talk to the people the way press release is talked, they will hit you on the face. Right? And he wrote a blog called Die Press Release Die. And you are seeing death of press release. The most powerful tool, those of you who are doing PR, आपके 3 या 4 लेक्चर सिर्फ प्रेस रिलीज लिखने में चले गए होंगे कि प्रेस रिलीज लिखते कैसे. But believe me, Prestige as a tool is finishing. It's dying. Of course, we need to change the way Prestige works. So we need to actually embrace the interactivity of Web 2.0, which is what? Which is beyond the written words, which is audiovisual, and hence YouTube. YouTube was shit scared of TikTok, and when TikTok was banned in India, they realized that there is a need for them to evolve, and they created something called the short reels, 30 second, 15 second. And if you're free, you are vela, And for example, this is the best part about social media. If you're free, you just start watching these reels. 2 घंटे कहाँ चले गए पता नहीं चलता. But you can see a trend, a pattern. एक song है, सब use कर रहे हो. Every star, every celeb, every Insta influencer will be using. So आलू अर्जुन ने बेचारे ने एक हुक स्टेप दिया अपना, मैं झुकेगा नहीं, right? The entire world has David Warner से लेके रविंद्र जाडेजा, everyone is making that video. So and it is doing almost similar. आपने ऐसे ही किया उसका, ठीक है? वैसे वो भी ऐसे ही करता है. So now that's the power. Now how can brands? Zomato is doing brilliantly. Amul has been doing it. This in marketing is called moment marketing. You identify a moment and then you jump into that. Amul has been doing it for 3 decades now, and they're brilliant at it. One of the best brands who you will see doing moment marketing. Right. So YouTube is a very important element. And in case you haven't read this book, my request would be to read. It's by Seth Godin, one of the celebrated marketers of our time. And he's written a book which says something remarkable is worth talking about, worth noticing, which is exceptional. It's new, it's interesting. That's the purple cow. गायें आपकी हर जगह है. बॉम्बे की सड़कों में तो दिखती रहती हैं, राइट? वहाँ तो सड़कें कम, गायें वगैरह ज़्यादा होती हैं. अगर आप सबर्ब एरियाज में चले जाओ तो यू हैव टू मैनेज. वेस्टर्न एक्सप्रेस हाईवे पे आ जाती हैं गायें बीच में, राइट? सडनली आप दिखेगा अरे ट्रैफिक क्यों है, वो क्योंकि गायें सड़क क्रॉस कर रही हैं. सो रेगुलर गायों को आप देखेंगे भी नहीं, बट अगर पर्पल कलर की गायें हैं उसको आप देखेंगे. यू विल वॉच. Now, what it means from a marketing perspective is a Me Too product, not hashtag Me Too, a Me Too product will have will have a less acceptance than a product which stands out. Because that's a product which is worth noticing. Right? So we have the current polity of the country that has taken 5th of August as a landmark day. So, and now I was just wondering, the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of the largest, most populated state of the country, they decided to do a Shilanas of the Ram Mandir, the coveted Ram Mandir, on 5th of August. So I was just wondering कि आज तो ना राम नवमी है, ना दिवाली है, ना राम जी का बर्थडे है. Why is it that they are doing it? And then I was kind of reminded the power of what we call it as events. Now, 5th of August is when he abrogated Article 370 and Section 35A, which is Kashmir was not given special powers that was given to Kashmir when India got independence. Right? And then he got Ram Janambhoomi Shilanyas with 9 lakh diyas and other things done on the same day. Any guesses if a uniform civil code comes in, what day is he going to put it on? Same day. Why? Because he's speaking to his target audience. What are the 3 things he promised before 2024? Hindus will get the Ram Jan Mandir. We'll make sure that Kashmir becomes an integral part, and we'll see that everyone in this country has a uniform civil code. Right? And this government is known to celebrate things. So statue बना देते हैं, उनकी पूजा होती है, उसके लिए larger than life celebration की जाती है. हर चीज मतलब event बनता है. Yoga day बना. Yeah, maybe after 50 years, 5th August can be a national holiday. Right? Absolutely. Right now, Punjab elections are here. You just saw him meeting all the important Sikh leaders and political religious leaders. Right? I don't know if you saw that. He invited all of them, and then he was wearing the dastarkhan because I'm from Punjab. I know what it is. जो पगड़ी पहनते हैं उसमें the voice was इसको नीचे मत लगने देना. And media just lapped up. Now he understands what makes news, and that's the job of a PR person to understand what will make news. But it has to be in sync with what the brand stands for. So a Zomato is delivering food to a target audience, to a customer. Customer sees, oh, he's from a different religion. Customer goes to Twitter and says, because so and so person is bringing food, I will not take food. Zomato can just tell him FO. It's a rebellious brand, right? Tanishq, on the other hand, will chicken out. नहीं, आप जो कह रहे हैं सही है. I will pull down the ad because it is jihadi love, right? Whatever it is, I will not go by that. Now, both the brands are at the two spectrum. Why? Because one brand is what we call it a rebellious brand. They can take that stand, right? But the other brand has always been a conformist brand. Conformist means jo world bolega. Now suddenly you want to move towards this side. The brand is taken to cleaners. You say, oh, sorry, I'll pull it down. And Asuddin Owaisi Sahab will never talk about pro-Hindu because he's not speaking to Hindus. He's speaking to his target audience. And similarly, Yogi Adityanath will not talk pro-Muslims because he's speaking to Hindus. From us, from PR professionals, our job is to understand what is this that these celebrities are talking about. Now, the moment you make what's that lady's name? Rakhi Sawant. Rakhi Sawant cannot behave like Deepika Padukone. Her job is to create controversy. Suddenly you tell her as PR professional, no, please behave the way Alia Bhatt behaves and Deepika Padukone behave. She will not get any media mileage. But the moment you tell her, oh, where is media? Mika Singh has kissed me, all those things. Now that's what controversy is all about. There are certain brands that are known to be controversial. You can't expect. So, when I was young, Sachin was the god of cricket, right? And one can debate, but Virat has better stats than Sachin Tendulkar in cricket. Yet the fan following for Sachin is far more superior than fan following of Virat. People are celebrating Virat's demise or fall from cricket. अरे अच्छा है कैप्टनसी से निकाल दिया, बड़ा ही वो बनता था, बड़ा ही ये बनता था. The two brands have a different followers. I'm not saying Virat doesn't have fan followers. Of course, yesterday Yuvraj gave him a golden boot, and the Twitter kind of erupted. He's very good and all that. But whatever Sachin did, so case in point is if let's say Shoaib Akhtar bowls a Yorker, a beamer on Sachin will not even say anything. वो उसको हेड पे लगेगा, वो थोड़ा सा इधर उधर हिलेगा, वापस आ जाएगा. विराट को मार के दिखाओ, वो सारी माँ बहन ना याद दिला दे आपको, on pitch, नाम बदल देना. That's what the brand is, right? If a brand is aggressive, they will take Virat. But if the brand is non-aggressive, they'll take Ajinkya Rahane. Conformist, right? You will. Rishi is laughing. Now, I'm just giving you that as an example, Rishi. Purely from how do PR, what is it that PR should do when it looks at those brands? And the element for that is, the thing is Purple Cow. Create an event. So I'll give you an anecdote. Have you heard of a gentleman called Edward Bernays? For those who are doing PR? Okay, Edward Bernays is the father of modern public relations. Right? And I'll give you a story as to how he created a Purple Cow. The American tobacco firm reached out to him in 1929, exactly 96 years back, saying कि यार 50% of the population, that is women, are not smoking, and therefore I'm not finding enough market share. So do something so that women start smoking. Very simple. One line brief. कि कुछ ऐसा करो कि औरतें सिगरेट पीना शुरू कर दें. So 1929 of United States, yeah, it's called Torches of Liberty, absolutely. So 1929 में इन यूएस की जो हालत है वो इंडिया जैसी थी. यू नो, सो माय मदर इज फ्रॉम कश्मीर और वाज फ्रॉम कश्मीर. शी सेटल्ड इन दिल्ली. तो जब मैंने एडवर्टाइजिंग ज्वाइन की 1990 में, मेनी ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स जो मेरे घर पे पार्टीज पे आते थे, वो गर्ल्स जो हैं वो सिगरेट पीती थी. तो मेरी मम्मी को बड़ी परेशानी होती थी कि यार ये लड़की होकर सिगरेट पीती है. सो if most of you are in Bombay, you will not find that as a major issue. But the moment you start moving 50 kilometers away from Bombay, you will see, you know, people raising their eyebrows. और ये लड़कियों के सिगरेट पी. यानी इंडिया में अभी भी सिगरेट पीना for girls is not considered good thing. And same was the situation in US at that time. In fact, जो सिगरेट पीता था, you know, the person was not seen with very kind. Girls were not seen with very kind eyes. You know, there were character assassinations being done. They were thought as, you know, someone belonging to a different strata, not strata of society, but a different culture altogether. Was not considered good. So now there's a cultural aspect to it. Now, how do you create something where there's a cultural aspect to that entire element? So Bernie's given the intelligent man he was, and that's why he's called the father of modern PR. He went to a psychoanalyst to ask, yaar, can women smoke biologically? And this was a time when there was no research, right? And this was also a time when cigarette smoking and cancer was not correlated. It only happened in 1970. Right? So the psychoanalysts say, yeah, absolutely, women can smoke. In fact, women who smoke is seen as the freedom for them in a male-dominated society. And therefore, many of the women take this as an act of rebellion to smoke in public. Now, the moment he said, oh, freedom, let me do something about it. So he said कि जितनी भी ये न्यूयॉर्क सिटी डेब्यूटेंट्स जो होती हैं, जो मॉडल्स होती हैं, गुड लुकिंग मॉडल्स, फिल्म फेयर के लिए जो मिस इंडिया के लिए जो अप्लाई करती हैं, यू नो, ऑल दोज गर्ल्स आर वेरी ब्यूटीफुल, वेरी गुड लुकिंग. सो सारी 100 लड़कियों को जो न्यूयॉर्क डेब्यूटेंट थी, उसने बोला ईस्टर डे पे आपने परेड में आना है और आपने एज एन एक्ट ऑफ रिबेल इन अ मेल डोमिनेटेड सोसाइटी सिगरेट स्मोक करनी है, व्हिच इज टुडे इन इंडिया इट्स लाइक कैंडल मार्च. राइट? आप निर्भया का रेप प्रोटेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, आप जंतर मंतर या इंडिया गेट जाएं और आप वहां पे कैंडल मार्च, जैसिका लाल मर्डर केस है, आप कैंडल मार्च करें. आई डोंट नो बॉम्बे इक्विवेलेंट क्या होगा, बट मे बी गेटवे के पास जाके कुछ कर दिया. I'm just I've never seen anything happening in Bombay like that, but दिल्ली में तो बहुत होता है. राइट? दिल्ली में लोग एकदम उतावले हो जाते हैं इन चीजों के लिए. So it's like फेमिना मिस इंडिया के कॉन्टेस्टेंट जो हैं, आपने उनको अमर जवान ज्योति से राष्ट्रपति भवन तक जो पूरा राजपथ है उस पे मार्च करने को बोला है. And these are all good looking models, 100 of them, right? And they're all smoking cigarette, not to promote cigarette, but as a cause. What is the cause? That in a male dominated society, these are the torches of freedom that the women are holding in order to be equal. Gender equality. बड़ी सिंपल सी बात करिए और लोगों को लगा वाह वाह कितना महान इंसान है, कितनी अच्छी बात कर दी. राइट? औरतों के, पुरुष प्रधान समाज में औरतों की बराबरी की बात कर रहा है. राइट? इससे बढ़िया इंसान तो जिंदगी में नहीं हो सकता. तो हम सारे अब सिगरेट स्मोक करेंगे और ईस्टर डे परेड पे पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे. एंड देन ही टिप्ड ऑफ लाइक अ ट्रू पीआर प्रोफेशनल, ही टिप्ड ऑफ मीडिया. एंड इफ यू take the media of India in 1929, anything that has happened in New York in 1929, इंडिया उस टाइम पे बेचारा आजाद भी नहीं हुआ था, हमारे और लाइफ में मल्टीपल अदर इश्यूज थे, बट हमें ये जरूर देखना था कि न्यूयॉर्क में न्यूयॉर्क डेब्यूटेंट क्या कर रहे हैं. इंडिया में भी बड़े सारे न्यूज़पेपर्स ने कैरी किया. दैट्स द पावर ऑफ पीआर. Nowhere is he saying cigarette is good for health. Nowhere is he saying cigarette is, you know, you should smoke cigarette because वो आपको रिलैक्स कर देगा. Even in India, cigarette owes a lot of its allegiances to Amitabh Bachchan. He started smoking cigarette as a hero for the first time on screen. Prior to that, cigarettes in Indian culture was only smoked by villains. अगर आप जी क्लासिक देख रहे हैं अभी बाय चांस, तो आप देखेंगे कि अगर आपको, यूजली मैं म्यूट पे देखता हूँ ऐसी चीजें, तो आप देखेंगे कि अगर आपको अच्छा आदमी और गंदा आदमी दिखाना है हिंदी मूवीज में, तो उसके सामने वैट 69 की एक बोतल पड़ी है विलेन के सामने और वो सिगरेट पी रहा है, सडनली वो अच्छे से बुरा हो गया। This is just one shot. You don't need any context. You don't need any backdrop. You don't need him to tell पुरानी पिक्चरों में कि इसने खून किया है, कत्ल किया है, कुछ कर आया है, कुछ जरूरत नहीं है। सिर्फ उसको सिगरेट पीते हो और ऐसे वो छल्ले बनाते हैं ना, ऐसे सर्कुलर, वो बना दीजिए, दुनिया को पता चल गया हाँ जी ये गंदा आदमी है। और बेचारा गरीब आदमी, जो गरीब है, जिसकी बहन बीमार रहती है, बहन की शादी करनी है, माँ बीमार रहती है, वो बेचारा हीरो है, उसका बैंड बजा रहता है लाइफ में, राइट। मतलब उनकी लाइफ कभी सीधी हो ही नहीं सकती, उनकी लाइफ हमेशा कॉन्कॉक्टेड टेढ़ी रहेगी। Now that's the power of imagery. Now what I did as PR professional, and I'm the only PR professional who's worked pro cigarettes and anti cigarettes, right? And now you might judge me, but जिसे कहते हैं ना कि गंदा है पर धंधा है, एक कंपनी पिक्चर का गाना राम गोपाल वर्मा ने डाला था, तो मैं उसी बिजनेस में हूँ। तो मेरे को एक ब्रांड ने बोला कि भैया मेरे को सिगरेट को प्रमोट करना है। तो उस टाइम पे अक्षय कुमार, young guy, entered the Indian cinema. We took him as a brand promoter. तो and वो तब से ये उल्टा चलकर आता था, ऐसा कुछ भी कर, जैसे अभी भी करता है स्टंट, तभी भी करता था। तो we shot a movie, सिंपल सा था, जो हमने सिनेमाज में यूज किया था, कि एक लड़की को गुंडों ने घेर लिया, राइट। जब मैं छोटा था ना, मेरे को लगता था बॉम्बे में सिर्फ यही होता कि लड़कियां जाती है तो उनको गुंडे घेर लेते हैं, मतलब जब मैं छोटा था, जब मैं बॉम्बे नहीं आया था, बिकॉज दैट्स व्हाट आई सॉ इन मूवी, राइट, कि आप समुद्र पे जा रहे हैं, सडनली गुंडे घेर लेते हैं। तो आई यूज टू वंडर कि यार ये अजीब है, बॉम्बे यहाँ पुलिस नहीं होती क्या, कि कोई भी आता है गुंडे घेर लेते हैं उसको। सो दैट गर्ल वाज बीइंग सराउंडेड बाय गुन्स, इन कम्स दिस जेंटलमैन एंड ही स्वेज दैट वुमेन अवे, और फिर वो बॉनफायर में बैठते हैं और फिर वो सिगरेट जला रहे हैं, और नीचे हमने एक टैगलाइन डाली, हम रेड एंड व्हाइट पीने वालों की बात ही कुछ और, राइट। दैट बिकेम अ ऑल टाइम हिट, एंड वी रियलाइज्ड that cigarette smoking is something that happens during 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, because those are hormonal changes, specifically in boys. उस टाइम पे मसल्स के ऊपर ध्यान होता है, उस टाइम पे you want to attract women, attract girls, and therefore all these things will be done, and you will see boys smoking, and that will be seen as an act of rebel. आप में से आपके काफी सारे फ्रेंड्स देखे होंगे, जनरली बॉयज बाथरूम में होता है सबसे ज्यादा, या कोने में होता है, 6-7 लड़के होते हैं, तभी ये बंदा सिगरेट उठाता है, क्योंकि he wants to show कि he's grown in life, और ताकि लोग बात भी करें, अरे मैंने उसको सिगरेट पीते हुए देखा, सो दैट मीन्स he's kind of grown up, and we realized that this is a major power. And then during 15-16 years of our time, we realized कि यार cigarettes बिक नहीं रही ज्यादा, because government also started coming up heavily. We then had so we created an event called the Bravery Award, Red and White Bravery Award, and we got Preeti Zinta as our brand ambassador. Like, why Preeti Zinta? Because in 2004 or 2001, there was a case against Bharat Shah, a producer, that he's taken money from underworld. And the two macho men, Salman Khan and Sanjay Dutt, chickened out in court, saying, oh no, I haven't seen any of these guys. Preeti Zinta was the only lady who stood out and identified the person who was from underworld and his association with Bharat Shah. We used that as a moment marketing era of a lady who was brave when the other macho men were not able to stand up, and hence the Bravery Award. And suddenly, of course, there was a PR connotation to all of it. Happy to take any questions for last 2-3 minutes. Otherwise, thank you for being a good listener. And मेरे को physically होता तो आप लोग पत्थर मारते, but अभी तो आप कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो ठीक है. Yes, Shreyas.
I had a question.
Sure.
I was just reading about ad factors and reading about you.
About me? अरे यार बताओ, मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, तुम मेरे को पढ़ रहे हो.
सर, तो मैंने ये पढ़ा कि जो एड फैक्टर्स कंपनी है वो 1997 में एस्टेब्लिश हुई है.
जी.
सो वो काफी न्यू है, मतलब recent है, पर still it's like the leading PR firm in our country.
That's right.
So how was the journey? Like, it's always been my goal as well. So I want success, but it should be very quick and fast. But it
अच्छा.
never happens. Sir, it never happens.
आपको लग रहा है मेरी our success is quick and fast?
Nice, sir.
And
If you compare it to like other PR agencies,
So good question. See, the problem with the PR industry in the country is that it is dominated by multinational giants, right? So you have Edelman, Genesis, MSL, but I'm happy to say that my turnover is bigger than all these four put together. And one of the reason is that we put in a lot of effort. See, all this thing that you will read about work-life balance, sorry to say, is bullshit. There's no work-life balance. You have to find time for everything. राइट जैसे जश की अगर 3-4 गर्लफ्रेंड्स हैं तो ही विल मेक श्योर दैट ही फाइंड्स टाइम फॉर ऑल ऑफ देम ऑफ कोर्स एक साथ नहीं बुलाता वो सबको हिंदी पिक्चर थोड़ी बनानी है उसमें बट सिमिलरली व्हेन यू लुक एट द जगलिंग दैट इज नीडेड it is important to be with your clients, and again it is not about only giving 30,000 feet strategy, it is about executing it. Adfactors is known for its execution. Today I have close to 600 brands in my kitty on a retainer basis. So I have Zomato, Byju's, Ola, Tata Group, Aditya Birla, Mahindra. You name a brand and they are working with us. Large brands. 573 to be precise. So close to 600 brands. And today I have 1,400 employees all over India. My nearest competition has 200 employees. So I'm 7 times the size of my nearest competition. Right? And we are headquartered out of Bombay. I look after region north, but we are headquartered out of Bombay. And we are in the Kamla Mills compound, and the entire floors, that entire areas are the journey. Shreyas, that you asked, we started off with this very small space of 70 square feet in Bombay, in the outskirts of Bombay, with 70 square feet. Today, my Bombay office is a 78,000 square feet office, and you know Bombay, you stay in Bombay, you know how expensive Bombay is. So that entire building is called Shetty Hall, which is Adfactors. It's just opposite Smash. अगर आपने स्मैश देखा है उसमें तो उसके एकदम सामने पूरा बिल्डिंग में हमारा लोगो दिखता है right now the reason is that all of us all of our employees are invested in clients हमारा ये नहीं है कि अरे अच्छा ठीक है yeah I'm not responsible to a Firang sitting in US no and I'm happy with the 10% growth I'm not right we spend a lot of money in learning and development. All our employees are trained in digital marketing and digital PR. As I said, COVID ने ये change किया है. तो मैंने माइका का एक कोर्स लिया है, which is worth 1.5 lakhs. मैंने 800 लोगों को वो कोर्स करवाया है. You can do the maths. अभी fintech and crypto is big thing. I've got 160 employees of mine to do a fintech course from IIM Ahmedabad. See, आप clients को बात ही नहीं कर पाओगे unless and until you know what is the subject. What are we talking about, right? I send 30 senior account directors every year to ISB, Hyderabad. Right? So learning and development, we spend around, 15 to 18 crores every year, which is bigger than the turnover of many of the PR agencies. Right? Many of my employees, of course, they get better job, they move out, but no sweat there. But point I'm trying to tell you is that there is a huge element of how brand, and I'm not the only successful brand, there are multiple brands that have done phenomenally well. Started off, look at Paytm. Yeah? I've serviced Vijay Shekhar Sharma when he was nobody in 2008. He was a vast समझते value added player. मतलब SMSs bulk में बेचता था Airtel के in 2008, and today his valuation is more than Airtel on Paytm. Right? So you need to understand that what will make client tick. And for you individually, you guys are brands, right? You are brand in yourself. Riya is a brand. Archita is a brand. What is it that the brand stands for? Now, if you compete with IIMs, you'll be finished. Why? Because you're competing in their strength area, which is called red ocean. आप मैनेजमेंट की बात करेंगे, आई एम वेरी गुड इन मैनेजमेंट. मेरे जैसे महारथी वहां बैठे हैं जो IIM से पढ़कर आए हुए हैं, so called Maharati, not that I am a Maharati, but so called, right? तो वो आपको किल कर देंगे, अरे मेरे को 25 साल का एक्सपीरियंस. But the moment you move towards comms, which is your core area, because these guys have not even read PR. What is PR? किसी IIM से पूछो PR होता क्या, किसी को पता भी नहीं. Everyone needs PR. which you guys have an advantage on, which is your blue ocean. So just giving you an example, Parle, जो company है from the house of Chauhans, they sold Coke, Campa Cola to Coke, right, and moved out. Now they still wanted to be in beverages, but had they gone into Coke category, they would be killed by Coke and Pepsi in the cola beverages. They decided we will create something called water, and they launched a brand called Bisleri. And today, Bisleri is a powerful brand in the water category than a Coke and a Pepsi. A Coke and Pepsi also have their water category. One is called Kinley, the other is called Aquafina. Right? कोई पूछता भी नहीं उसको, कोई कुत्ता भी नहीं पूछता. Sorry for using that word. But आप Bisleri बोल दो, अरे भाई साहब, दुनिया जानती है. Bisleri के rip-offs देखें कितने सारे हैं. लोग Bisleri के कॉपी करते हैं. सेम डाबर है. डाबर ने कहा भैया मैं भी आऊंगा, मैं भी बेवरेजेस बनाऊंगा. बट अगर आप इन दो कैटेगरीज में बनाते तो डाबर खत्म हो जाता. डाबर सेट ठीक है मैं जूस बनाता हूँ, और उन्होंने रियल नाम का एक एक्टिव जूस लॉन्च कर दिया. टुडे जूस कैटेगरी में दैट इज द लीडर. So you can still be a leader in the category that you want to operate in, but create a niche for yourself. That's what Seth Godin is saying. Purple cow. What should be that purple cow be? तो मैंने blue पहना हुआ है, purple नहीं है, but मैं purple पहन कर आऊंगा next time. Shreyas, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it did.
Thank you. जश, आप स्माइल कर रहे हैं, कुछ बोलना चाह रहे हैं? मेरे को आपकी दाढ़ी बहुत अच्छी लग रही है जश.
Sir,
You're from Gujarat? Jash, you are from Gujarat?
No, sir, Ahmednagar, near Pune.
Near Pune. Arre wow, very good.
Yeah. So, sir, I was thinking of that Hyundai boycott campaign that was leading in Twitter.
Yeah. What is your take?
So, there was a lot of trending, but they shut it out from one single post that we are sorry. And
Absolutely, it's always good. अश्नीर को भी मैंने यही बोला था भारत पे को, भैया माफी मांग ले. नहीं, मैं तो चौधरी हूँ, you know.
So, what is your take, sir, on that?
See, the point is that Hyundai had nothing to do because it's a handle which is operated from Pakistan. Hyundai India has no control over what's happening in Pakistan. No? Tomorrow, a McDonald's Pakistan can also write anything. No? So, of course, India Pakistan को तो India वाले McDonald's को issue हो जाएगा. Because for an आम आदमी, it really doesn't matter. For them, oh भैया तुमने कश्मीर के बारे में point raise किया. So you need to have your crisis communication in place. You need to have your processes in place. Right? It's important for you to understand, and this is where crisis is very, very important. Like you said, if someone says sorry, thing will be finished. You need to reach out to right handles. Influences, therefore, is important. Priyanka Chaturvedi of Shiv Sena is very important. And Uddhav Thackeray is very important if you are in Bombay or Maharashtra region. Right? Sharad Pawar is very important. But Yogi Adityanath is equally important in UP. He may not, BJP, Devendra Fadnavis may not be of relevance today in Maharashtra, but he will be if he becomes a chief minister. So you need to keep him in good books. So you need to understand who are your stakeholders. And that's a very important part of PR. जस्ट आपके लिए एक एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ. आपके 10वीं या 12वीं में जब नंबर आए होंगे तो 12वीं में यूजुअली क्या होता है, इफ यू आर फ्रॉम सीबीएसई, 12th में जो एग्जाम्स होते हैं प्री बोर्ड्स पहले हो जाते हैं, राइट, उसके बाद बोर्ड्स आते हैं, राइट, और बीच में एक फेयरवेल पार्टी आती है जिसमें आप अच्छा सा ड्रेस होके डांस करने जाते हैं. बट वो प्रॉब्लम क्या है, वो पार्टी बीच में आती है जिसमें प्री बोर्ड के नंबर आ चुके होते हैं, राइट, और वो बोर्ड की प्रिपरेशन का सेमीफाइनल टाइप माना जाता है. और अगर उसमें आपके नंबर नहीं आए तो आपके माँ बाप आपको मतलब मार के बिठा देते हैं. अब आप पीआर कैसे करते हैं वहां पे? अब सोचिए, ये मैं आप सब लोगों से सीखा हूं कि पीआर कैसे होती है. आप सबसे पहले तो परसेंटेजेस को परसेंटाइल कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं. यानी 100 में से सपोज करें जश के नंबर आए 42, ठीक है. इन मैथ्स 100 में से 42 तो इज लाइक गाली इन इंडिया, राइट. आपके जनरेशन में तो बहुत ज्यादा गाली है, मेरे जनरेशन में फिर भी ठीक था. तो आप क्या करेंगे, सपोज करिए मानसी इज द टॉपर, तो आप 100 में से नहीं बोलेंगे, आप मम्मी को जाके बोलेंगे मानसी जो क्लास की टॉपर उसके सिर्फ 50 आए. तो सडनली रेफरेंस पॉइंट 100 से शिफ्ट होकर 50 पे हो गया. अरे मानसी के 50 आए, मतलब बड़ा ही टफ पेपर, राइट. फिर आप साथ में एक और चीज बोल देंगे, मम्मी टीचर कह रही है जो इस पेपर में पास हो गया उसके बोर्ड में 95 से ऊपर आएंगे, राइट. दैट्स द सेकंड प्रूफ पॉइंट दैट यू आर सेइंग. और तीसरा, आई डोंट नो व्हाई, बट आपकी क्लास में 40 में से 30 बच्चे तो फेल ही हो जाते हैं प्री बोर्ड में. हमेशा मैंने देखा है, मेरे जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनके मतलब 75% वो बच्चों को फेल कर देते थे. कि ऋषि जो इतना इंटेलिजेंट है वो भी फेल हो गया। तो आपने ये 3 प्रूफ पॉइंट बना दिए मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स क्राइटेरिया, फिर आप अपना नंबर डाला कि देखो मेरे 42 आए हैं, मैं बच गया। वर्सेस अगर आप सीधा 42 करते तो एक कान के नीचे पड़ता, फिर वो पार्टी पुटी में भी नहीं जा सकते थे, राइट? सो you all understand how to build a narrative. कहानी कैसे बनानी है वो ज्यादा जरूरी है, राइट? आप लेट आए, अभी जैसे मैंने श्रेयस से पूछा भाई कैमरा क्यों नहीं ऑन कर रहा, उसे सीधा बैंडविड्थ पे डाल दिया। पहले मैं ट्रैफिक पे डाल देता था मुंबई में, अरे सर बहुत ट्रैफिक है मैं नहीं आ पा रहा, या मैं लेट हो गया। दिल्ली वाले तो ऐसे ही करते हैं। दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ स्टोरी टेलिंग. So you need to understand. There's nothing against you, Vache. I'm just giving you that as an example on a lighter note. पता मारियो मत मेरे को जब मिलेगा तो. Right, Josh? Does that answer
Yes,
your
sir.
question? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
I've eaten into your time. Thank you so much. You've been a very kind audience.
Thank you
since
so
Google,
much.
Shreyas has already discovered me on Google. You can also discover me on Google, but I'm available in case you have any questions on PR. Please feel free to ask me. Right? मैं बाकी किसी चीज
So
पे
I just went through your. So I just put your name on Google and I can find many articles about you already.
Already,
Yeah.
wow. So मतलब I've done my PR well, right?
Yeah, you did.
So,
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
so
Yeah.
on behalf of the entire class,
Yes.
I'd like to extend thank you to you to come to our institute and speak to us like this. And I'm so glad to say that this session was not only for PR centric, but I think all of us had something from our own industry and our own specialization. So I'm really thankful for this session, sir, and hope to see you soon physically
Yes.
someday.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.